get.
Hey, I'm PH, and welcome to Good Bible Knowledge with PhD. In this set of videos, I want to study the words and works of Jesus to give a clear understanding and a deeper appreciation of the love of God expressed through this most important figure in human history. And I hope these videos will help you in your own spiritual journey in Jesus. Let's get started. When Jesus was in Capernaum, he asked his disciples, "What were you discussing along the way?" The disciples were silent because they were arguing who was the greatest among them. Jesus then called them together, saying, "If anyone would be first, he must be last of all and servant of all." He then brought a child among them and said, "Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not only me, but him who sent me." Jesus was indicating that faith that pleases God is a sincere and humble faith like that of a child. Sometime later, Peter asked Jesus, "Lord, how many times should I forgive my brother who sins against me? Should 7 times be enough?" At that time, the Pharisees taught that a person could be forgiven twice, with 3 times as an expression of exceptional mercy, but no more than 3 times. Peter exceeded these requirements by suggesting up to 7 times. Jesus responded with a parable. He said there was a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. One servant owed the king 10,000 talents, equaling several million dollars. Unable to pay, the king ordered that that man and his family be sold into slavery. The servant then fell on his knees before the king, begging for mercy, asking for more time to pay back the debt. The king looked upon his servant with great compassion, and in a surprising mood he forgave the entire debt. Greatly relieved, he saw a fellow servant who owed him 100 denarii, which was about $5,000. He grabbed the man and began to choke him, saying, "Pay the debt you owe me." The fellow servant begged for more time, but in a fit of rage, the man ordered that the fellow servant be imprisoned until he pay the full amount. When this incident was reported to the king called in this man and said, "I forgave you all your debt because you pled for mercy, and yet you refused to show the same mercy towards your fellow servant." And the king had the servant thrown into prison. The answer to Peter's question is you must forgive to the extent that you yourself have been forgiven by God. Jesus used the amount of 10,000 talents to illustrate that the man's original debt was so great that it could never be repaid no matter how many chances or how much time the man was given. This illustrates the measure of debt that we owe because of our sin. Our sin is so great that no matter how many good deeds we might accumulate in this life, it can never be fully paid. And yet, in an act of remarkable grace, God, our Heavenly Father, gave His own Son, Jesus, to pay the debt for our sin by dying on the cross in our place. And anyone who would confess their sin, believe in the death and resurrection of Jesus, and accept Him by faith, God would forgive them all of their sin. And Jesus taught the disciples this important lesson about forgiveness, that in light of the immeasurable grace that we have received from God, we too must forgive others with the same compassion that was shown to us through Jesus Christ. Thanks for listening to another episode of Good Bible Knowledge. We'll see you next time.